Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is mixtressrae. You're watching mixtress video. I'm like sweating for some reason. Hi, we're gonna do an unfair comparisons from Stunning Tarot versus Gothmancy Tarot. First of all, thank you to everyone that voted. I didn't know if I wanted to pit Stunning Tarot against Gothmancy or Mystic Mondays because both of those are decks that have really strong color stories, which is definitely what I think Stunning Tarot has going for it. First of all, I want to do some thank yous at the beginning. Not only thank you to everyone that voted on my little poll, also thank you to Casper at Boy Diviner Channel who sent me this deck. He was going to rehome it, as they say. I just say got rid of, but you know, people like to be nicer about it. So he was going to rehome this deck, and I reached out to him several months ago, and at that time the second edition hadn't come out yet. So this is the first edition of Stunning Tarot, so it's not available anymore. So sorry about that, but the second edition I think is still available, so you can still get this deck. But at the time the second edition wasn't out yet, so we decided that I was going to wait until the second edition came out and see how I felt about that, because the shipping to get this deck to me from where he lives, so he's in Singapore and I'm in the middle of the United States, so that's a really, really long way away. It's like a 14-hour time difference. So I waited till the second edition came out, but I didn't like it. So I reached out to him again and I was like, hey, do you still have this deck? And it was just a really sweet interaction, because I was able to send him the money to cover a deck that he wanted to buy that's also out of print. So it was like a one-to-one out of print deck trade. And kind of, I mean, I just sent him the money for him to buy his own out of print deck that he wanted, so I didn't have one to send to him. But it finally came. It did take like about a month to get to me, but that's really not that bad, honestly. And I am completely in love with it, you guys. I love this deck so much. And I really love this deck as well. So this is actually, you guys made the best choice as far as like something to compare to Stunning Tarot, I think. I mean, the imagery is very dissimilar, but it makes sense to compare these. So both of them come in a tuck box. This one is a sturdier matte finish tuck box, and it has beautiful gold inlay on it. I saw that some people got the purple inlay box. Obviously, if you got the purple, you probably did it on purpose, but I didn't know that you could get a purple box. I must have missed that on the Kickstarter, but I just want to put this out there just in case anybody got the purple inlay box for their Gothmancy deck. If they would like to trade for the gold, let me know. Send me an email. Details are in the description box below. Okay. Also want to do, this one does not come with a guidebook. This one does, just so you know. To do a true comparison, I don't always do that, but I want to compare card size. And I also want to thank Maddie, if you're watching. She's one of my patrons over on Patreon. She just sent me, she bought me a new copy of the Centennial, because I had posted that video where I had ordered a Centennial deck and I got a knockoff accidentally instead, and I was really disappointed. She bought me a Centennial. She reached out to me after I posted that video and said, I want to buy you a Centennial deck. You know, where can I send it? And so I just got this in the mail too from Book Depository. I'm very happy to have this deck in my hands again. It is great. Just a little side note on this. If you guys have an older Centennial deck, they are using slightly different cardstock, because I had a Centennial that I turned into an art piece that I put on my wall. So I still kind of have access to it, but it's not usable as a deck anymore. The cardstock is more smooth now. I think it's a little bit thinner than it used to be, and it's kind of a smooth finish like the Hush Tarot. If you guys have Hush Tarot, it's like that same kind of finish that's like a little bit smoother than it used to be. Not that it wasn't smooth before, but it's just like a little bit more matte now than it used to be. Anyway, huge thank you to Maddie for sending me this deck. I am so happy to have it. It is gorgeous. I'm very happy to have the Centennial again. So I brought this out because this is a standard tarot size. Both of these decks are bigger than a standard tarot size. So with Gothmancy, it's just slightly wider and about 1/4 of an inch taller. With Stunning Tarot, I actually cut this deck down a little bit because it was poorly cut from the publisher. It had all these jagged edges, and the cards were not the same size, so I just cut a tiny bit from each side so that I could make them all the same size, basically. So it's slightly smaller than it was coming out of the box. But Stunning Tarot is a little bit shorter than a standard tarot card and about 1/4 of an inch wider. So it's kind of a weird size, but I don't find it hard to work with at all. Okay, let's do this thing. First of all, I have a question for you guys. Do you have, I think it's because like this Gothmancy deck has UV coating on it. This is my first deck to ever have anything like that. And it's very pretty because it kind of has an interesting reflection at certain angles. But I just noticed when putting this deck in order for this video that it feels kind of wet. And it feels strange to me this time, and it hasn't before. Like, do you guys know if there's like certain air conditions that react badly to UV coating on cards? Like, if you guys know anything about that, because this is the first time I've ever, like, it just feels weird. And I don't know if it's like, it feels a little bit better now than it did when I first took it out of the box. I wonder if it's like, this deck, maybe I just need to store it out in the air. I don't know. Let me know if you guys know what I'm talking about or if I just sound stupid. Let's start flipping, shall we? I've been using Stunning Tarot all week, and much like how I felt about Gothmancy when I first got it about a month ago, I don't want to look away from it. I am just so happy with it. Oh, I need to pause this and go get the marker that I edged the Stunning Tarot with so I can show you what I did, because I think it's a perfect color match. Okay, I just want to show you. So this is what the color looks like. It's this top one on paper, and it is Crayola Infrared, and it's a slightly pink red, but look how well it matches. Like, can you see that it's like the exact red that's on the back of the cards? It's the exact red that is in the deck. It is just perfect, and it didn't bleed too badly on the front. I did have some like little spots that I messed up because I didn't spread them out and let them dry properly. I was stacking them on top of each other like an idiot. So I did get like a little bit of the marker on like the white background in a few of the cards, but it doesn't really bother me because this cardstock is kind of crappy anyway. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that because this is the perfect color match. So if you have a Stunning Tarot deck, anyway, I was proud of that. I was like, yes, because I was looking at it, I was like, should I just edge it in red? But if I had edged it in like a straight up like Sharpie red, it would not have gone well. Or it would have been fine, but it wouldn't have been a perfect color match because this is a more pinky kind of red that is in this deck. One of the reasons why I prefer the first edition of Stunning Tarot is because I love this Lover's card, and she completely changed it in the new edition. So Stunning Tarot is a little bit less RWS based. Like, it's not far outside the realm of RWS, but it's very expressive. Like, in some ways, it kind of, the art style of Stunning Tarot sort of reminds me of Wild Unknown, not like literally, but as far as just the kind of emotions of it, if that makes sense. it's very like, it feels very intuitively expressive. You know, it feels like, I don't know how to say her name, but Jonasa Jonasa Yaus, maybe? That. I don't know how to say her name. But it feels like she just really intuitively drew these cards. And it feels very, I don't know, it feels like this, I mean, it's too early to tell because I've had this deck like less than a week. But I feel, I mean, look at these colors. These are like my 3 favorite colors right here. That is just amazing. It's like everything is slightly off. Like this isn't yellow. This is citronella. This isn't purple. This is like radiant orchid. And this isn't red. This is like persimmon. You know what I mean? It's just like, I love that. I'm realizing that I'm very sensitive to color. Like if colors aren't right in a deck, even if I love the artwork, I'm not going to like it. But the colors are phenomenal in both of these decks for completely different ways. Like this deck is very much, it's almost like a tricolor deck because, I mean, it has more colors than that in it, but for the most part, it is that persimmon, that citronella, and that radiant orchid, and then black and white as well. For the most part, it is just those colors. And with Gothmancy, there's a specific color relationship to each suit that is a wide range of colors, but it's a specific wide range of colors in each suit. It's just, I love studying to how like abstract it is, you know? Both of these say the judgment. Isn't it usually just judgment? Okay, now I want to look. Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking at all my tarot decks, so I don't know if I have other tarot decks that say the judgment, but it's usually just judgment, right? Okay, here's where I want to take a second to, I feel like in this card, Jonasa Yaus is telling us her elemental associations with the minor arcana that's about to come up in this world card. I feel like she's telling you her associations right here. I think it's pretty easy to tell, like once we get to the swords, that her association with swords is water, because swords are mermaids in this deck. So we see here with this sort of paler red that these are the swords, and she associates swords with water. And this is the color that is the main color in the Pentacle suit. So she associates, this is my, you know, I'm just guessing, there's no guidebook, but so I could be wrong, but this is the way that I'm interpreting it. This is just a deck that's kind of pushing me to see things in a different way. I see that since this is the color that is the predominant color in the Pentacles, she associates Pentacles with air. And that makes sense because she has the air suit, her air suit of Pentacles is Egyptian in this deck. So it's like, you know, Akashic records, you know, you can kind of take that to a mind space, you know? So it's just interesting to like reinterpret Pentacles as air. Like it's not something that I'm gonna like stick with, but for this deck, it's an interesting, like skewed way to look at it. So then we have purple is the color in the wands. So and it's a witchy suit. It's a very earth-based suit. So that makes sense that she associates wands with earth. So then the last suit here is cups. So she associates cups with fire. And it's an Arabian, it's based on, I think, the 1001 Nights or Arabian Nights or whatever that's called, that myth, that, not myth, but like that text, 1001 Nights, isn't that right? Anyway, it's based on that, I think. So, yeah, I just think that's interesting that like when I made that association, I was like, oh, she's telling you right here in the world card what her associations are for the upcoming minor arcana if you're flipping through in order. You know, it's like, here's the mission statement for the minor arcana that you're about to encounter. I just think that's interesting. And I might be putting too much into that, but that's just how I see that. I love this. I love that, like, I love it when there's a, like, specific color story in each of the suits of the Minor Arcana. And we have that with both of these decks. And there's alternative, like, it's not totally outside the realm of RWS, like I said, with Stunning Tarot, but it's kind of alternative viewpoints of it. Like this Five of Wands is, you know, we normally think of conflict as Five of Wands, but here it's a meditation, it's a ritual. I just love the purples. I feel like in the second edition, she kind of subdued some of the color story in her deck. Like a lot of the cards, it's just like she took the loudness of the colors down. Sorry, I'm not trying to like talk against the second edition, because likely if you're seeing this deck for the first time, that's the only edition you have access to, unless you want to pay $250 on eBay to buy the first edition. Look at that cat. I love it. And I love this like older page. Like we have a hermit energy here, which does harken back to Earth. You know, you could really like challenge yourself with the associations in a deck with this deck, I think. Love this Warrior of Wands too, because this looks like a Slayer to me, and I always think of the Wands court cards as like Slayer energy. I'm just loving this so much. Thank you so much, Casper. Hopefully I'm not making you fall in love with this deck again and wishing that you hadn't given it to me. So again, we're into the cups, which I am making the assumption that is the elemental association with cups is fire in Stunning Tarot. Sorry, I'm mostly focusing on Stunning Tarot because I have a limited range of sensory input. So most of the time whenever I'm doing these unfair comparisons, it's always like the primary deck is the one that I'm looking at the moment. And then the other one is just there to provide visual contrast for those of you guys that can take it all in at once. I also really like that, like, there's no eyeballs. Like a lot of the time you'll get really close and it'll look like the eyes are actually rolled up in the head and not that there aren't any. It's not just whites of eyes. But it helps me, I think, because I'm autistic and like, you know, looking into people's eyes is a problem for me. Not usually a problem in cards, but it does make things accessible. Like I'm not into like realistic looking decks. You've probably noticed if you watch this channel, like every deck that I have is in the fantasy realm somehow, or something is off about it that makes it, you know, I'm not really into like realistic portrayals of humans. I actually get kind of uncomfortable when I see realistic portrayals of humans. So it kind of has to be this sort of weird otherworldly shit. Okay, so here we get to the swords, which I believe is the water suit in this deck. And I'm so in love with it. Oh my God. The imagery is so simple and expressive, and it just feels intuitive. It feels very like you sit down and you create your own associations. Like it's still RWS meanings. Like you still get that like element of rest and taking a bath and mental health day with the Four of Swords. You still get that, but there's that added layer of, you know, associating it with water instead of air. So, and that makes sense to me because like for me, the sword suit is very emotional. Like you're going through shit, and you're going through shit emotionally, which is also in your head. And I like this idea of Six of Swords being a pregnant woman. Like you've had a lot of damage in your life, and maybe even the person that got you pregnant is not someone that you want to associate with anymore. So you're going to be bringing some baggage to this new relationship, this new person's growing inside of you. But you can also subvert the damage, like you don't have to take what was done to you as a child and do it to your own children. You can break that cycle. And I just like that being Six of Swords energy. It's powerful to me. I feel like this Stunning Tarot deck is going to become one of my favorite decks. I really do. I get that sort of like that feeling that you get when you first get a deck that's like you're really intrigued by it, but it kind of challenges you at the same time. And it kind of makes you slightly uncomfortable, but like not so much so that you're gonna like not reach for it. It's just that tiny layer of discomfort that makes you reach for it more, if that makes sense. I apologize for anyone that I am making fall in love with Stunning Tarot right now, when it is a little bit harder to get. It's even the second edition, like I think you have to order it from the creator, and I think she's in Spain. I think she's based in Spain. So, obviously if you live close to Spain, then that's not a barrier to entry for you, but the shipping is quite a bit, because I looked into getting that second edition. And I think the shipping to me in the United States was about $20 US. I mean, like, if you look at the color story of this card right here, there are only three, well, I guess four, because there's black, white, and then there's these two shades of red, which, in certain lighting conditions, it's hard to even tell the difference between these two shades of red. But it has so much movement and texture in it that the lack of color isn't a deterrent, like for me personally, like I know a lot of people really love this deck, and I don't want to take anything away from anybody that loves the deck that I'm about to talk about. But when I had Tarot of the Holy Spectrum, like same thing with the court cards in Tarot of the Holy Spectrum, there were only like, 2 or 3 colors in those particular cards. But oftentimes the background, the figure would be smaller than this figure is on this King of Swords. And like the background would just be flat one color. And it took away some of the beautiful textures that existed in other places throughout that deck. And as often happens with me, like getting the Stunning Tarot, I had the thought of, this is what I wanted Tarot of the Holy Spectrum to be. It's totally different, like art style vibes in both of those decks. I would love to see a comparison between those two, but I don't have that deck anymore. And I really did like that deck, but there were the colors chosen were not my particular shades of color. Like the yellows were just straight up yellow, the blues were straight up blue. Like for me, I need something that's a little off kilter, and like the fact that this yellow is actually, it's a very greeny yellow, it's like a pukey yellow, which is my favorite kind of yellow. I always call it citronella, which doesn't really make sense, but I do. So now we're into the Pentacles, which is the air suit in this deck. If, my suppositions are correct. Don't listen to me if none of my shit makes sense to you. There's a lot of snakes in this deck too. I'd love to I haven't done this yet, but just sort of set aside every single card from Stunning Tarot that has snakes in it and kind of look at that symbolism. Elvira. I'm wearing an Elvira t-shirt right now. There really is no comparison. Like, if you're looking for an RWS based gothic deck, Gothmancy is the way to go. Absolutely. And if you're looking for, I don't know, like, there's, what exactly is Stunning Tarot? I don't know. It is so strange, but I'm into it. I think it's very much going, I mean, I could be wrong because I've only had this deck like a few days now. Like a week. I think I've had this deck. Not even a week. Hasn't even been a week. I've just been holding it in my hands though so much. Like at night I just sit and shuffle this deck and pull cards constantly. Like I am really hardcore bonding with this deck in a way that I don't normally do. Like normally it takes me a little bit longer to get to know a deck, but with this deck it is immediate connection for me. So there you go. There's my comparison of Stunning Tarot and Gothmancy. I hope that you guys got something out of this. Again, huge thanks to both Maddie, who sent me this gorgeous Centennial Tarot. I'm very happy to have this in my life again. And to Casper at Boy Diviner Channel for working with me on this, me wanting this deck. I was very like, I really want it. Help me, please help me. He was very sweet, and he even sent me, this is just a sentimental thing, but he, and I'm only covering it not because it's anything personal, but it's just because it's sentimental to me. I'm going to cover the content, but he sent me this beautiful little note, and he wrapped the package up in this gorgeous Christmassy wrapping paper because he sent it to me at the very beginning of December, even though it took till like January 2nd or 3rd before I had it. He wrapped it in like Christmassy wrapping paper. So I like made this little card with the note and the wrapping paper, and I keep it in the box with the deck because it just feels really special to me that it's an extra layer of special, that not only do I love this deck because of what this deck is, because of what the creator put out there, but I also love that it was sent to me by a new YouTube friend that, yeah, it's sentimental, and I'm looking at it like a gift from him, and I just can't believe my gratitude lately, guys. Or I can't believe my gratitude. That's the wrong word. I can't believe my fortune that like I recently had somebody trade with me one of the letterpress prints from Lost Hollow Tarot. So I got the one that I wanted, which was the Two of Swords. And thank you, Sherith, again for that. And then I had Maddie, one of my patrons, send me this deck. And then I had Casper send me this deck. And it's just, and I had, this last year, I had Amrit Brar send me the Marigold Tarot, which is my favorite deck. So I have a copy of it now given to me by the creator. And it's just, it is mind-boggling to me, the kindness that is out there. This is just a little thing, but it means so much to me. I had one of my coworkers, she's actually my boss. I've known her a very long time though, even before she was my boss. But so we've been friends for a long time. She came up to me and she just handed me a pair of pants because the last time she was wearing them, I was just like, oh my God, those pants are amazing. And apparently she didn't really like them as much as she was hoping to when she bought them. So she gave them to me. And it's just like those. And I had a friend just recently make me a crochet tarot pouch, and give me a deck with it. So I unwrapped the cool little handmade crochet tarot pouch, and it had a deck inside of it. And it's just I know that these are just normal human things, but those kinds of things mean so much to me. Someone giving me a deck is just so special to me. There's no way that I will ever I mean, not that, yeah, sorry. I'm very babbly lately. Thank you guys for listening. Y'all are the best. Thank you for voting. Thank you to everyone that has ever done anything kind for me. And if you're watching this right now, you are doing something kind for me right now just by listening to my shit and sharing this moment with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Please let me know anytime you have ideas for videos. I'm also like thinking about setting up a P.O. box in case, like, because I'm trying a little bit. I'm gonna do kind of a depth year this year a little bit. I just have kind of like rules for myself. I'm gonna try to kind of dig out of some of my debt and be more mindful about the money that I spend. And I'm going to, one of my rules is I can only buy decks and perfume, because that's my other obsession at the moment. I can only buy decks and perfume with money that I make on my tarot reading Etsy and money I make with my Patreon. So essentially, from now on, every deck that I acquire is going to be a gift from you. So that is incredibly special to me, and it's going to help with my financial issues in general. So I was thinking, like, let me know in the comments if this is something that you would be interested in utilizing, perhaps. Like, is this worth it? I don't know how much it costs to get a P.O. box, but I was thinking about doing that. That way, if there was a deck that you guys wanted me to review or do an unfair comparisons of, and it's not one that I have, you could send it to me and I could do a review of it and I could work with it and I could give you guys my thoughts that way. And it would be something that I would be so appreciative. I would love doing for you guys. And it would be a way for me to continue doing better for myself and my own finances. Because I've been living outside my means for a while and I'm trying to do better about that. Anyway, this has become real babbly. Thank you for listening. You guys are the best. And I will see you in the next one.